After seeing several videos about this game, this is what I know and how I understand it. With the franchise of the Orange Bird marsupial under ownership of Eurocom, after Naughty Dog couldn't do anything more with it, this new company's ability to keep the franchise must have seemed questionable to some people. When Eurocom created and revealed Crash Bash, it wasn't as such a swing and a miss. It simply wasn't a good enough shot as the other existing games at the time. When Crash Bandicoot was created, the intended given purpose was to rival Mario. After that trilogy, Naughty Dog made something and expected people to call it an imitation of Mario Kart, yet that game was loved just as much. Suppose that up to that point, those people from Eurocom thought that Crash can and should do everything Mario did, so that Sony, through PlayStation, can have something equal to Nintendo. And if Mario Kart just so happened to be a great influence upon Crash Bandicoot, Mario Party, another successful Mario spin-off series, ought to be another. But of course, the next resulted game was not as good, especially because of the work put in it. A Crash Bandicoot party game would have to have mini-games, and that's something basic that Crash Bash gets right. But compared to the first Mario Party game, the number of games is underwhelming. I say this especially because many of the mini-games are actually the same mini-games with different variations. And I'm expected to consider those games different? Is the intention of the variations of those mini-games really to add up to the numbers? Or is it just to incorporate different elements of the trilogy? The Mario Party series has a huge quantity of mini-games that are played and enjoyed again and again, and none are ever altered to different versions in one single game. I can see a lot of them deserving to be played in Crash Bash, with elements of Crash Bandicoot, that is. As for the mini-games as they are in Crash Bash, some of them I'd consider recommendable enough to remain. Those with different variations, I choose one of each to be worth being in the game, especially for being the simplest. Crate Crush is as straightforward as it ever gets, with its theme of battle and brawl. Of all its variations, Jungle Bash is the simplest. Ballistics is interesting for being literally the last one standing wins kind of minigame. I especially like when each of the 4 goals made a different sound. Among its variations, Crash Ball is the simplest. I consider Pogo Pandemonium creative. Why do I hardly see the Mario characters on Pogo sticks? But enough about that. Among the variations of Pogo Pandemonium, Pogo Painter is the simplest. Polar Push has a pretty good idea, but Polar Panic is the simplest of all variations, so that one has to be worth keeping in the game. I think none of the Battle Tank games of Tank Wars are bad enough. I'm not as sure about the circular lap races of Crash Dash. The mini-games of Medieval Mayhem are okay enough, especially as those games are each one minigame and don't have any variations. Although you might have to consider being careful when playing Ring Ding. And is that really the most appropriate name for that minigame? The minigames offered are one thing, but it would be a better satisfier if all were different and one version. The characters, or at least the amount of them, is another story. Crash, Coco, and Cortex are playable, and that's a start. After all, it's not a Crash Bandicoot game without any one of them. And as with Crash Team Racing, there are 8 characters to start playing as. But here, it's all you get. I guess the inclusion of Tiny and Dingodile was reasonable. It was also nice enough to play as Koala Kong and N. Brio. But then there's the new character, Rillaroos. What did the developers do that for? Did they really want the Crash Bandicoot franchise to have someone equivalent to Donkey Kong? Fake Crash is also playable, but exclusively in the Japanese version of the game. Some other characters are also featured, such as Papu Papu, Ripperoo, N. Gin, and both the Komodo brothers. But they each show up in only one place, and none are even unlockable. And why isn't there Entropy or Pinstripe? And what about Purah? How come Coco can't ride on her own pet if Crash can ride on his? And why is Oxide in the game as a final boss? Not to mention he isn't playable in the game either. It can be understood at that time that the Crash Bandicoot franchise didn't have as many characters to begin with. But the roster as it is, especially while certain favorite characters are present but not playable, it just doesn't feel right. And then there's the game's story mode. Crash Team Racing achieved it even though it's a spin-off game, so why not Crash Bash have one? And as I can understand it, the storyline of this story mode baffles a lot of people. It has a concept and a structure, but a lot of people aren't getting the logic that it works under. It starts with Aku Aku and Uka Uka arguing, and then they agree to have a contest? Had the developers not seen what went on in Crash Bandicoot 3? Are they the same mass? Is it set in the same universe? And when time comes to bring in the characters for play, Tiny and Dingodile are forced to side with Crash and Coco. Did it happen because those two characters are more popular to play as? Frankly, it's a problem when there are more bad guys than good guys. And for what happened there, Is it really the way it works? And why is N. Brio standing in as Cortex assistant and not Engine? Couldn't they just have the group of villains be Cortex, Engine, Tiny, and Dingodile? I know it's just like in Crash Team Racing, and it would have been likely enough repetitive if it was done again in Crash Bash. But I just don't think enough justice was done when the characters were categorized. And remember when N. Brio helped Crash and Coco at that one instant in Crash Bandicoot 2? That can give a little impression that he's reformed or he's free from villainous work. He could have been on the side of Crash and Coco in this game. Same for Rillaroom. Seriously, there should be more characters for Aku Aku. And the story has two endings. One is from completing the story as anyone from Team Crash, and the other is from completing the story as anyone from Team Cortex. I guess I ought to respect that. I mean, if you're playing as someone from different groups, there has to be correct cutscenes for each story. But I like the good ending with Crash better. Who likes when Uka Uka wins? During gameplay of the story, except for what is referred to as boss battles, in each and every game, you have to win 3 times to win a trophy. Then you have to play the games again for a crystal, a gem, and a relic, which elements of the games are changed for each item to collect. And then you have to have enough crystals and gems to defeat bosses, to go to new warp rooms, and get to the final boss afterwards. And the last objective to complete all the warp rooms is to win every minigame an enough number of times to earn a relic. Maybe the challenges of crystals and gems are worth the added replay value, though I don't see the need for all the gems to be green. But the requirement and the method of collecting gold relics and then optionally platinum relics just makes completing the story mode suggestively more tiring. Why the need to earn relics of 2 separate kinds? And if the relics are just to complete the story mode and nothing else, don't that make relic challenges rather meaningless? But if there should be relic challenges in the story mode, how about this? The relic that you earn depends on how many times you win a minigame, with one different adjustment. Sapphire if you win once, gold if you win twice in a row, and platinum if you win thrice in a row. And those relics will actually do something for you. If your relics are gold at least, for example, you unlock something that can make the final boss battle easier. And if all your relics are platinum, another advantage is unlocked. In the case of Crash Bash, it's fun to play minigames, but when you are tasked to play them with different modifications just to earn different rewards, you won't find a lot of people say they enjoy doing it, will you? And Oxide is the hardest boss to beat. Follow him, then fight him off while keeping as much health as possible. I've seen some people on YouTube have a hard time doing that. Overall, playing the story of the game can certainly leave you in anguish. I'm better off playing the story mode of Crash Team Racing. And here's something to not forget that I don't hear anyone on YouTube talk about. The theme song of the video game is like a remix of that of Crash Bandicoot 3. I call that a flaw. It sounds more like Crash Bandicoot 3 being rehashed. Mario Party would never do anything like that. Crash Bash should have its own theme if it's going to be its own game. It can be the case that Crash Team Racing exceeds expectations of whoever played Mario Kart back in the day, but Crash Bash, overall, isn't as good as Mario Party, let alone the first of its games. There were good ideas, but they weren't processed very well. There's still an audience for this game even nowadays, but even so, what I said about the game can't be disagreed. As for myself, I could have gotten myself into playing this game and getting into this game, but what I like is outnumbered by what I don't like. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way. I wouldn't say that this game is a backfire or a mistake, rather merely that it underperformed inconsequentially and could have been handled much better. In the end, for whatever Eurocom made, I realized that Crash can't be kept up by just anyone. Not that the franchise should have stayed with Naughty Dog. But hopefully, the franchise is now with the right people. I don't know if the people in Eurocom were following the example of Naughty Dog, but if they really wanted Crash Bandicoot to have a game like Mario Party, they should have put more thought into it. Should Crash do everything Mario does? That's anyone's opinion. But generally speaking, not to say that the new developers couldn't prove themselves worthy of being new handlers to the franchise, but this game just didn't deliver. Now I want to know from you. Have you played Crash Bash? Do you think a better job could have been done? And what would you like the game to have? Leave your comment, and thanks for watching.